Once Rompad Maharaj was selling this. He said a lecture at the end of like 1.5 hour lecture. He asked the question, so what did you understand? And one person said, yeah, we have to be good to everyone. And he said, I never said that you have to be good to everyone. I talked about Krishna, I talked about duty, I talked about karma, I talked about million other things. And what this person heard is be good to others. Because they have their own filter. It doesn't go in. So in order to progress in devotional life, we should break connections which are not helpful and connect with something helpful and healthy. So here's me on the left side. I went to a school in Shoreline. Shoreline is, I think, northeast of Seattle. So there, the school invited me to talk about spirituality, right? It's a private school. Obviously, these kids are all very wealthy, otherwise they cannot study there. And then the teachers were calling us to teach them some values. So I went there and I gave a little bit of talk there. I don't know if students understood, but the teachers understood definitely, because this is more philosophical topic rather than material topic. The kids were also, some of them were able to relate to it. So there is a picture. This was November 2018. So there was a Panchaloha deity of goddess Padmavati donated to TTV, Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, by a Mumbai-based Muslim devotee. So this was there since 16th century in their family. So obviously some Muslims would have attacked the temple and stolen this deity. And it was there in that family. And then the family was actually worshipping it. Although they were called themselves Muslims, they were worshipping this deity. And one day they decided, okay, let's give it back to the temple where it came from. So magical things happen. So what is yoga? Anybody can tell me what is yoga? Yoga means connection. So it is not a physical or mental well-being. There has to be a strong philosophical basis about how life is temporary. What is life doing right now? It's playing out with all the gains from the past. It's not in the past, it's from the past. So whatever we did in our previous lifetimes is somehow or the other coming. And it's coming to us in stages. So we need to be ready to take the determination. Will this yoga process work for me? Right? I've not finished making this deck, so I'm still typing it. So most people say, yeah, we need to have a meaningful, healthy life. We need to have good family relationships. But what is the meaning of good family relationships when we are about to die? At death, all of this will come to an end. So right now we are all playing this game, right? We are on this chess board or Ludo board or Chinese checkers or whatever the case might be. We are playing this game. We are thinking one day you win, one day I win. But we need to change the game board. We need to transcend the game board. Otherwise, we'll be playing this game again and again. What does again and again means? Again and again means punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam. So the detachment is important to tackle our false ego. Right? At some point, we have to be detached. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Because this is not about praying to God so that I can have more money, or praying to God because I can have so many other things. No. This process is about leaving this material world. So to be dutiful in this world, what does it mean? You have to do some duties. Helps us not to be attached to comforts. Performance of duty gives rise to ego, right? I'm such a good person. I'm working so hard at Microsoft or whatever the company might be, right? state government or central government, federal government, whatever the case might be. But if you think about it, you see so many trees, like for example, a mango tree is providing what? Is providing without ego, right? Does it say, no, don't take my mangoes? It is providing. When we interact with nature, we become free of ego. That's why Swami Prabhupada and Bhaktivika Swami, so many people are saying, move to the farms, move to the farms. Because as long as we are in the city, we don't have connection with nature. You just write some code, you do some PowerPoints, and you are getting money in the bank, direct deposit. From there, it's getting directly deducted also for your credit card. Ultimately, it's the same story. We still don't have money. So when we interact with nature, we become free of false ego. And we get out of this burden that we carry. We carry this heavy burden, right? So once there was a competition, one lady was carrying a big basket. Second lady came and said, I'm carrying even a bigger basket. So they are carrying all their produce to the market to sell. And everybody's saying, I have a bigger basket, I have a bigger basket. But ultimately, end of the day, this is a big burden that we are carrying, right? So we have to get out of the burden that we carry. So we need to pursue this with discipline, regulation, and commitment to the goal. So when death approaches me, I have to be in a state of consciousness that I can face death and conquer it. Right? Death is the most constant. There is one ISKCON sannyasi who wrote a book called Death. Title of the book is Death. It scares the hell out of people. Array, what is this? ISKCON people talk about death. We want to think about living nicely. But then, can anybody avoid death? No. So how do you face death and conquer it? Anybody? Any thoughts? So we need to understand the immortality of the soul. That the soul never dies. What happens? And the perception of this is very difficult, and to not be deluded by the allurements of the world. Right? What is happening? There are so many allurements of the world that are troubling us. So when you have allurements, that leads to ambition. And in the ambition, you sacrifice your health and you sacrifice the relationships in this world. And then again, we go to look for some yoga studio where we can get rejuvenated. Or yoga studio or some social club or this or that or family reunion. So we come back to the pit stop again and again. So we have to get out of this cycle of allurements leading to ambitions, which leads to sacrifice of health and relationships. So we need to come out of this cycle. Unless we come out of the cycle, we'll continue again. Ultimately, any kind of karma or karma yoga culminates in bhakti yoga. It may take slowly or rapidly. So for some people it is slow, and some people it is rapid. So what is karma yoga? Evolving consciousness through work. So this is karma yoga. Second is philosophical emancipation, which is, anybody know what this is? Jnana yoga, philosophy, right? Jnana. And then ultimately we come to chanting, which is bhakti yoga, right? But each one of us goes through this cycle. Evolve as consciousness through work, do philosophical emancipation, and then finally do the chanting. So we should know that death is inevitable and be prepared for death. And we should know the reason for working and why we are working at all. Time is always moving at a constant pace, is it not? Time and tide wait for no one. Srila Prabhupada used to say this. Time and, this is a British saying actually. Wait for no one. Time moves with a constant space. Things deteriorate and new opportunities arise. That is the nature of time. Then you have to do the question, hetu means reason. Why am I working? Why am I engaged in this kind of work? So there are 5 factors of action in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. So you have resources, the 3 modes of material nature, you have time, you have so many other things. But most interesting thing is this factor called Daiva, which is luck, fate, or divine intervention. So you can understand time by studying time. You can understand attachment and detachment. And then introspection. What am I doing? Why am I doing? Krishna says, yuktahara viharasya yukta karmasu chetasu. So whether it's in eating, whether it is in relaxation or entertainment, everything has to be moderate. Everything has to be moderate. Developing this as I go. So what is free will? You have to work and live, but we have to live in moderation. And it varies by person, right? For somebody, $10 is moderation. For somebody, it could be $1 million. So not too much and not too little. That is the balance that we have to do from a karma perspective. So we need to balance 3 kinds of balances: spiritual level, mental level, and physical level. So we have limitations. The soul is not unlimited, right? Soul's capacity is not unlimited. So what do? We have this limited field of interaction, kshetra. Kshetra, kshetragnya, vibhaga yoga. Remember in chapter 14 we were studying that? The division of kshetra and kshetragnya. And then in 15 we come into Purushottam yoga. That's where we are right now, this particular class. In other classes we are in different, other batches we are in different other chapters. So we have these modes constantly competing: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. But these are needed for the body to function, right? At the same time, someone can misuse the modes. Ultimately, modes work under the direction of Krishna. How do we know that? Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mami Vaya Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. And then, what is the other verse? Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham iti manyate. So, under the influence of ahankara or false ego, people are thinking, I am doing everything. Actually, we are not doing it. Material nature is working under the supervision of Krishna to make all of these things work. So, like if you think in terms of metals, right? Gold, goodness predominates. Copper gets affected by oxidation, constant churning. Iron does not easily, what was I trying to say that? It easily gets rusted. It is dull, it's a sign of ignorance, right? So everything in the world is in these 3 modes. Charity is in 3 modes. Everything is in these 3 modes. So now we have to think about how to get out of this influence of these modes. Now intent is there, but intent is there only if life is there, right? It's not there in inanimate objects. Life source is divine, and our expression has an element of independence. Whatever we express has an element of independence. A little independence which is misused will be ultimately defected by the divine intervention. This divine intervention is the Adhar. Adhar means source of everything. So Krishna gives you a little bit of freedom and you say, okay, I got a freedom, I'll do whatever I want. And then he says, okay, you have overstepped your bounds, so I will actually pull you back, right? So right now we have Corona. That's also one way to pull us back because we were over abusing Mother Earth unlimitedly, right? So I'll show you a movie right now on how we are abusing Mother Earth. I don't know. Did I close that window? I thought I had it open. Amazon. Look, it's so beautiful. Hare Krishna, kids. Always blissful. Amazon. There it is. There's a movie called The True Cost. I have to